Hello everyone, welcome back. This is a multiple part video, but the intro is the same for each and every one, so you can just keep it around if you want to. So let's just hop right into it. I'm using the default brushes. I shared the link below if anyone needs them. So here I just made a copy of the tapered pen and went to Windows, Top Tool, Brush Shape and just add another pen. So basically you have the same brush but without the texture. I really love this pen, it's really easy for me to work with it. But you should, search for a pen that you really like and just master it. However, I just wanted to show you the settings that I did to the default brush, just in case you need them. Okay, so eyes. Eyes can be complicated, so let's just start simple. Let's pretend we have an eyeball and just draw a horizontal line in the middle. Add an upper line and a line just to have a sort of delimitation. We can also move the iris around, but just let's keep it in the middle for now, in the center. So once we have this kind of base, it's really easy to just draw the eye shape. Just try to keep it within these parameters. So don't worry too much about the iris right now, we're just testing out different eye shapes. I hope you can see, but it works well with every kind of shape, also including a more realistic one. So just play around with large eyes, with small eyes, with rounder eyes, with elongated ones, pointy ones, whatever you want, just have fun with it. And after you found the shape that you like, you can just go around and play with the iris or iris, I don't know how to say that. You can make them larger, smaller, oval, really small or really large. So that's all I wanted to say about the base or the basics. Now we're just gonna hop into different styles. Okay, so for the first style, I'm just going around with a very classic anime look. You can see most anime girls having this type of eye shape with very long eyelashes. You don't need to draw the full eye, just pinpoint the upper lid and the lower lid. I just drew a horizontal line just so you can see the angle, however you can just change it to your liking. And I made the iris very large, this will look really cute. And just play around with the size and see which one you like best. And preparing to draw the second eye. You can duplicate the layer and just flip it horizontally, but be mindful that the eyes might look in opposite directions. So if you're doing a symmetrical drawing, just place the irises closer to each other. This way it will look up front. Now go to Edit, Transform and Free Transform and just flatten the eye a bit. This is a good technique if you wanna do a semi-profile. As always, be mindful that the eyes are looking in the same direction. So if needed, just flatten the iris a bit more or move the pupil around. Now that I've done the sketch, I'm just fixing it up a little bit and adjusting the size because we're going to move on to the line art. We're going to render different parts at the same time, so don't worry about detailing everything all at once. So I just picked up the tapered pen, the smooth version that I edited in the intro, and just start blocking out the lines, the eyelid part. Don't worry too much about having straight lines, just block the main shape out. Because at the end we're going to go around and add more details to it. So for now just make sure it can read easily. And rotate your canvas as much as you need. So here I'm starting to use the lasso tool to make the base shape of the eye whites. I don't know how you call that, but I'm just gonna go with the white of the eye. And I also made the circle for the iris or the main eye. Now I'm just adjusting it to fit the sketch, and also I'm adding the pupils, the center of the eye. Colors can be adjusted later, just make sure you draw everything on different layer. Now I want to add an accent and just choose a darker blue to make a small circle. This is just for the anime effect, so it's pretty widely used. And I also added 2 white dots and erased part of them. And because it's a different layer, I can just duplicate it and made it blurry, and also change the color of it. So now it's a bit of a green glow with white highlight. So now I'm still deciding on the color. I decided to erase a bit of the pupil just to make it a bit softer, and I started to add a darker shadow near the upper lid and just use the eraser to make a rounder shape. If you take a brush and hold shift and just tap on the screen, you can make straight lines. So I kinda like this base, and I feel like I don't need the sketch anymore, so I just hide it and started adding a highlight. Now use any color you want and just play around with the modes. I think I left it in screen mode, and I started adding other colors just so the eyes can have a nice glow. You can duplicate the layer underneath it and just make it blurry. This way you will have the circle with a blurry outglow, and it's a really nice effect and really simple to make. Around this time I felt like I needed more texture, so I was testing out different lines that I can add to the eyes. I also edited the main highlight just a bit. Sometimes it's best to just go around and work on different parts on the canvas. There's no need to render just one part, you can just go back and forth in between shapes and objects. I also added a new layer and started making some kind of darker outline to the iris. I feel like I needed it, it's just I wanted to make it a different texture, so I made it a bit sketchy intentionally. I feel like it's adding a bit more flair to the eye. Just small details like this might not mean a lot, but you can definitely see a difference. And here I duplicated the pupil layer and just locked the layer and made it a lighter blue. This is also an easy way to make a bit of depth. And I wanted another yellow accent, so I just added a few more dots on overlay mode, I think. Just play around and see which one you like best. Sometimes it works with certain colors and sometimes it doesn't. I also made a new layer and decided to add a bit more shadow. I felt like it needed some darker in that area, but I didn't like the direction, so I actually just moved the layer down below under the glowing dots. So now the eye has more contrast to it. Now I moved on to the eye whites layer and just added more shadow to it and made a new layer with extra dots and sparks. Now because we have a lot of gray on the eye whites, the glow really pops off. And here I'm duplicating again the spark layer, change color to a green and just add a blurry tone to it. So now I have a nice glowy highlight. And now for the last step, I just went back to the eye whites layer and just added a bit of blur brush so that it can look softer. And since having too many layers is confusing, I usually just merge everything when I'm done. So just duplicate the layers you want, just in case you need it, and select every layer you want to merge and just go to layer and merge selected layer, or just press Ctrl+E. I think that might work. Okay, so now I'm going back to the eyelashes layer and just added a bit more color to them with the airbrush and just went back and draw lines. This way we can add a small texture to them. You can already see a big difference just by adding a bit more color to a layer. And now I'm just blocking out the eyelashes. I'm working with a white color just so you can see the difference, but we will change the color afterwards. For now, just block out the shapes. A triangle pointy shape. Don't add too many details now, you can add them later. For now we're just gonna focus on the shape. And you can change the angle to your liking, but for me I wanted to go this route. And also I added a few more eyelashes on the lower lid. So I'm making a new layer and clip it to the eyelashes layer that we just drawn and just start adding a bit more color and texture to it. And once I'm happy with it, I go back and just use a larger brush so I can define the shape better. Now you have luscious eyelashes. You can add many more if you want, just make sure if and when you want to overdo it. Here I made a new layer and just use a lighter color to make a few more eyelashes. And also work a bit more on the general shape. I felt like I wanted to add a bit more color to it. And we're almost done. Just play around with colors, shapes if you want to. Here I'm just testing different layers out. And I decided to add an extra layer on multiply, clipped to the eye layer. And this might be a good accent. I feel like it's not very well seen. Maybe if you have lighter irises, maybe it will look nicer then. But it's still a nice touch, so I kept it. Don't forget to zoom in and out to make sure everything is easy to read. Also, if you zoom in and out, you might notice where you need to add more details or where you need to make less details. So for the last step, I decided to add a bit of a skin tone. So now I'm just playing around with different colors. I also added a bit of blush underneath the eye. And since the eyes are green to blue, I thought a warmer skin tone would look nicer. Here I'm also adjusting the eyes a bit. I feel like it needed to be just a little bit smaller. So just select every layer you need to and adjust it. Sometimes we only see small mistakes at the end, so I think it's good to know how to fix them very fast. And I'm just adding a bit more shadows. And I'm just playing around a bit with the different tones. And adding different colors and shadows. Now no need to overdo this, the main focus is on the eyes. So this is more or less just for fun. And that's about all. See you in the next video. Bye bye!